All right, my doggies. It's 6:32. It's July 30th. It's Fed Day. How's everyone feeling today? My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to the 630 Club. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. Yes, I just did a little 20-minute, 20 to 5:20 workout with a few hundred dogs from around the world. Talked a little stock market, a little bit of life, got a good sweat out, getting my routine going so I could think clearly for when things get moving later. And Fed Day sometimes is very volatile. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunities, but more than not, it's usually a pain in the ass, excuse my French, where you get a lot of big ranges, a lot of false moves, and sometimes you get a trend at the end of the day, and then sometimes it reverses the following day. And after a move like we've seen in this market, and a little bit of divergences, kind of not a bad spot to take some risk down, but it doesn't mean you could short everything and it's game over. It's just not a bad idea to be a little prudent, which is what I've been trying to do for the past, few days. Bring down. I've had way too many positions on. I've had them on pretty much since since April 30th when this active sequence ignited, and then looked as if it was going to end here, and then boom on this day, got refreshed. And now the question is, does yesterday lead to move back down to the 8-day, the 21-day more, or not? We'll see. We'll know more today. A lot of people think that he's just going to stay the same. He'll be a little dovish. Everyone will start focusing on September, which makes sense. Stock market's at all-time highs. It's hard, not saying he watches the stock market, but it's hard for him to cut rates here. Usually, maybe if we had some volatility over the summer in August and we pulled in 1 to 3% or 2 to 4% going into September, and the VIX gets higher, and then all of a sudden, maybe they'll say, okay, let's cut a quarter, and then it puts the market back on track. But for now, up here, it's just like, really? But anyway, we'll see. There's a lot of things to do. You just got to be a little bit more careful. So all in all, you have 638, right? That's the high. You write that down for today. Yesterday's low. This is your candle. Got to get above 638.67 to make another all-time high, or below here to see the 8-day or more. The Q's also, kind of, if you look at the candle and use your sell rules, and you had a lot on, you could have sold some strength, and then it didn't hold 569. But again, look how we're above the 8-day. All we're doing is every time you get a little bit extended, like from the moving averages, you could add to some hedges and trim into some strength. And then when you get to the 8-day-ish, you figure out what's acting best and try and go there with whatever's showing some relative strength. So we were also in the heart of earnings season. Today you're going to get Meta and Microsoft after the close. Microsoft, I have no FOMO with. Microsoft is, last earnings play literally gave you a great swing trade. You could have been long versus 424.90, this peg play, which Trader Stewie calls it, or whatever his name is, who I do like. And from there, it hasn't been below. This thing has not been below the 21-day since the last quarter. But look how far it's gone. So if you're going to take options into earnings on Microsoft, I just think that there's no real good setup here. And maybe the institutions know that it's going to be strong. They're Azure, they're this and that. So I don't even think it makes sense to even put puts on. Just see what it does and see how it affects the market tomorrow. Meta's a little different. Meta, at least, wow, look at this ugly candle yesterday. Jeez, thank God I was out of that. But anyway, if you were playing it for a pre-earnings run, it didn't happen. If this consolidation for 5 weeks is a consolidation of a big move and it's going to take out this, then that's something different. I'm not in it. I've had more success trading these things after the print, because into the print they've had such big moves, and the options guys are putting so much premium in there that it's hard to make money, even if you're right. Like Google, we'll get to that. But anyway, for this one, if you were to take, an option play and not a lotto play, I think, you could buy the 725 calls and sell the 760s, or buy the 730s and sell the 760s. And a lotto play would be, if you think it's going to make a new all-time high and be a catalyst for the market tomorrow, then you buy like the 750s and sell the 770s, and you're risking peanuts to make like a 10x. Or you just play it after. If for some reason they increase their capex and it's not like a huge print, it's come a long way, then you'll map out levels and trade it after hours. But I have a feeling I'm not taking it. Same way, just so you know, like with Google, we were riding Google literally from right here. This was the spot. And I kept buying, bought options here, sold some, rolled up the option strike, sold some, and then played the stock ever since. And if you would have, had a call spread on for earnings, whatever it was, it gapped up on that whatever day it was. I think it was a Thursday, and then sold down, and it was very, very hard to make money, even in a good call spread, if you did like a 190 by 195, unless you did it perfect. But yesterday I bought Google back the shares. You know why? Because it's calculated. Even if we pull in a little bit, we'll see. We held 191, let it go sideways. At some point, I think it gets into this gap, which would be a great day trade if it does it, and then takes that out. So Google is something that's moved up my go-to list. Some guys like Red Dog, that guy Logical from the Spaces, because every Monday I do Spaces with Stocks on Spaces, and the Wolf, he organizes it, and this guy was making a big case for LC, to be in it for for earnings. The last time they took all these write-offs, I think we were talking about this yesterday. So a lot of guys who watch a 630 Club took a whole bunch of options, and if you did so, you're getting paid. It's kind of interesting. Off the beaten path, name someone does their homework. Like this guy Logical does his homework, and he made a compelling case, that they took too many write-offs because they thought the tariffs would be, higher and out there and not just put off. And P.S. this is up 24%. So those of you who took options, you probably made a double or triple. So congrats to you for pushing the keys. Anyway, moving back to like what's what. It's been a hard trade. Like a lot of the whatever it's called, the drone names pulled back more than they should have. Like this ACHR shouldn't have happened, so I got out of the rest of it. Right? You had to move. It would have been great if it held here and showed momentum, and when it didn't, it broke down. I tried buying a little bit here, and then it reversed. So my rules have it: you can't be in this for a swing trade when it's below the 821 day. So that whole group rolled over. QBTS, the whole quantum group, kind of rolled over too, below the moving averages, couldn't make a new high. So you had to get out of that as a swing trade. So I caught this in here really well. I kept 25% on, and that cost me money. So a lot of little things have cost money. So I've pulled back a little bit. IBIT to me still looks okay. You just, lately you have to buy dips, which is what I've been trying to do. I still think Bitcoin could get to 120, 150 last time, but it's not really a money trade right now. It's just trying to knick-knack here. This was a money trade. That was great. This is like just hold it or buy a dip and trade around it. Ethereum also, I think, is acting just fine. But again, if you added yesterday, you were in trouble. Instead, this was the money trade, and then I got rid of it here, and then I bought some back, and I've been just trying to buy a dip a little bit as it consolidates. Sometimes things are consolidating, and sometimes it's not. You want to, someone else says, is an Apple a pain in the butt? Apple's been a pain in the butt. Apple broke this little trend here yesterday. I got out of the stock the day before, and I'm in some options which are bleeding, but overall, Apple's been not a great trade. Tesla is still a whole lot of nothing. It did give you a gap fill above 310. I guess see if Tesla will reset up here. Maybe I did give you a good level yesterday. I said, if it holds here, it's fine. It did go from 300 to 310 to 330. So it's maybe you get like a pivot, inside range there. And then there's a better setup. ASTS did a big money raise. We had a great money trade there. here, even into here. Now I'm accumulating some back into the 51 range. Yesterday was a good buy in the hole. It held the 21 day, which has been, the trend. So, there's things that are still, doing, acting well. I have 26 comments. Let me see what everyone's saying here. So you could talk to me on YouTube. You could talk to me on Twitter. You could talk to me if you come to the New Jersey office and we get a Red Dog sandwich. Google was very strong on a pretty weak day yesterday. That's true, Adam. I did buy it. It's one of my few names. And I'm going to probably keep that on the top of the go-to list. Some things go up and down the go-to list based on price action, and this is back up it. How about Pony? Pony hurt yesterday. You want to talk about my bad trade? I'll talk about my bad trade too. I have no problem with it. As traders, we're real guys. We have bad trades. Pony, wasn't fun. I had options on. I was accumulating a lot in here. I trimmed some. I kind of stayed pat. I bought more. At least on this day, I was able to buy some. And if you use your sell rules, did it get above and stay above 1583? No. So I was able to trim some. But, some guys got out right here. Some guys stayed with it. I got stopped out of the shares, but I'm still in the options. And, yeah, this hurt. 2 candles like that, it would have been nice if it continued. Instead, it came back in. So, you have to probably extend this channel, and it needs more time. But if you look here, this is a Red Dog reversal sell. From 14 to get above 1583, it didn't have the strength, it got below. Hopefully you got, at least managed your size, and then maybe yesterday, you got stopped out of some. So anyway, it kind of sucked. With that being said, let's move on. I went over ASTS. Let's see what else is everyone. Richard Judge, good morning. What up, Tony Wallace? Hump day. SoFi has come a long way. That was kind of sneaky. Yeah, SoFi had a, but look at this topping tail, by the way. From where it went to where it came from. This to me is a get out of Dodge candle, right? It's extended. That's the problem with the earnings season when you have huge moves like you've had, which has been a big move for SoFi. This is Chase's, Chase owns this for a while. He has his little, portfolio. But anyway, topping tail, closed near the lows. So somebody must have found out that they're going to do a bit of a money raise. So I bet you some guys were short. Go look at a textbook, shooting star top, and that's what SoFi was yesterday. Didn't close in the dead highs. Sellers came in and took over, and now it's filling the gap. So it is what it is. Sometimes you have a thesis and you ignore the candle. Like even with Pony, I was all excited about Pony. 2 of my institutional guys like Red Dog, stay on this thing. It's going to go to 40, in the next 12 months. And I was like, all right, it's going to go to 40. You know what? In order to go to 40, what do you have to do? You got to get above and stay above 1583. And look where it is now. It's a pain in the ass. It cost me a lot of money yesterday. Actually, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, Amazon's coming out with numbers tomorrow. It's got a big rising channel here. I'm still in it share-wise. I don't know what I'm going to do there for earnings. I don't know if I'm going to take it. I've been, again, I don't know if I want to risk 5 to make 12 or 15. So that's what you have to do, kind of like. What I like to do is I like to risk 2.5 to make 7.5. Like, buy, if I were to take this, I would, at this point, I'd be like, just say buy the 240s and sell the 255.5s. That's the move you don't want to miss, like a big breakout move. But anyway, those haven't been happening. Let's move down the list here. Whatever. APLD, 37% of the float is short. Okay. What's up, Ken Rosenberg? We're supposed to have a sandwich, aren't we? We're going to figure that out. APLD. This also, had a little bit of a move. Look at this candle. This candle said, hey, sellers came in, and then this made a lower high right here. And then if it was going to be any good, it probably shouldn't have done this. And now it's right back into the base like everything else. But yeah, this is, when these stocks are in motion, they're pretty good. What's it doing this morning? That was kind of predatory, this SoFi. It's going to leave some wounds. APLD's down 9 cents, doing a whole lot of nothing. Anyway, it's Fed day. So what do you want to do on Fed day? You probably want to have the TLTs up, which broke out of this little range. What's kind of weird is like, you think about it, TLTs up, that means rates are lower. You would have thought IWM would have had a better day, and it really didn't. So, That's kind of like what's going on there. I've been buying the XLE. The XLE looks better, but again, you can't add on strength. I said this time with the XLE, what am I going to do with the XLE? I'm going to buy a dip. So I bought in here, now above the moving averages, looking more interested. It might pause here like it always does and fail, but if it could actually hang a little bit above these moving averages and go sideways, maybe XLE turns into, a better trade. But XLE might be something for August, so that's looking good. But XBI is hurt. XBI, I figured, hey, maybe there could be another trade here. I can get above 89 the way it got above 86, and I've been accumulating some options, and it looks like they better save this thing today. Some news from the Trump administration about increasing something on their patents kind of hurt that. So this is if you take a look here, this is on the verge of hasn't yet, but if you want to make this into like a trend here, just if you're in actually the ETF itself, I would say if you haven't got out yet, like it breaks this this level right here, this rising channel that has dips buyable could break to the downside. So just be careful. I'm in options, not in the stock itself. UNH is a battleground. UNH is a pain in the ass. UNH is not something to be in. I'm sorry. Everyone tries to buy a dip in UNH. I'm like, look at this gap that never got filled. Look at this gap that never got filled. There was a little mini trade here that we caught, and then it was this candle should have got you away from this and said, you know what, this sucks. Excuse my French. And yesterday closed on lows. But anyway, NVIDIA, NVIDIA was another nice trade, but look how extended that is. Last week, we were talking about how, CapEx increase in Google. I was buying the 175 calls down here, and I sold them yesterday. Little bit of a, not the end of the world, just a little extended, a little topping tail. I have no NVIDIA on right now. It's still trending, but to me, this was when NVIDIA was fantastic, a hyper focus. I was ready to make a ton of money. It was a money trade. And then since then, it's been a manage a trade, buy a dip. And for now, NVIDIA is up 60 whole cents, not doing a whole hell of a lot. SMCI also gave you a trade and then gave you a little red dog reversal yesterday. And that's what happened. It's, it's July 30th. Not every week, not every month, not every little sequence is going to be so easy. Today's Fed day. There's a lot of false trades that happen. There's a lot of misdirection. I don't, to me, I don't love Fed day because you have all these fake out moves. Sometimes I play the ranges, sometimes I don't. And we'll see. But usually by like 130, 145, there's a range set. So at least you know how to trade the range when Powell starts to speak. If there's anything like out of the blue, like if he does cut a quarter, maybe you get a knee-jerk move higher, but then they sell it because, they think it's, I don't know. I'm in one of those moods where I should be in Montauk on the beach, not sitting here at my desk. But I'm at my desk here for you and for the Alpha team and for Redler All Access and for Red Dog Mindset and for me. I want to make some money today too. I just don't have any, clear-cut conviction. That I have no FOMO in missing anything. These moves have happened. I feel like it's easier to lose than to make right now. So when it's easier to lose than to make, what you want to do is have a little less risk on, a little bit more cash, and that's what I've been doing, for the past week since Wednesday. I should have just super bombed my entire, active account swing kind of options. I got out of everything last Wednesday at my highs, but sometimes it takes a little bit of money and a tiny little bit of bleed to unravel things and then get more flexible and then do it. So with that said, here's your range, 638, 67. This is the bottom. Expand it, to see how much volatility we have. Maybe I'll do a quick little video around 145 because we'll see where we're at. We'll see what's showing some strength because sometimes there's some names that are really strong, so you can see when they like try and do computer programs, sell on the spies, and then all of a sudden, a few names don't go down, and you're like, those names didn't go down. And then all of a sudden tells you we're going to go up, or sometimes they do a fake out to the upside and names go down. So there's a way to read the tape. That's what I am. I'm a tape reader. I don't listen to guys on TV. I try not to listen to guys out there. I read the tape, and every now and then, someone actually comes up with something smart. And I got to give it to Logical. Logical came up with this. He did his homework. He's in it big, and it's up 24%. A lot of guys in my community bought options. So, we owe you a steak sandwich. I'll see you guys a little bit later.